nothing else could heal. God gave his son. According to what they said, I've been preaching ever since I can remember, as far back as I can go. You know, I never really claimed that, but it was just something that I enjoyed doing.
We just always hear the story that when he was younger, he always played like the preacher. Sometimes it would be cats and dogs in the yard, and he would act like those were the members.
Well, I heard a couple of chickens got saved. They clucked a little different.
As a kid growing up in church, you know, we would often mimic the things that we seen and heard. We would have what we call play church. Instead of playing games and stuff, we would just do like what we seen. And, you know, a lot of times when I would want to preach, I would just preach anything that I thought would hear me. C-J-C-K-E-N, that's the way to spell chicken.
We grew up in Beaumont, Texas, in a small subdivision that they call Votes.
It was 8 of us, 6 girls and 2 boys. Mother and father were workers, you know, hard workers, working every day. We just grew up as a close-knitted family, 6 girls and 2 boys.
Namely, Ruby, Dorothy, Faye, Harold Ray, Gwen, Robert, myself, and Carla.
We got along relatively well. Like I said, we had our moments when there would be competition, but it was always settled in love. I was delivered right here on 11190 Fleming Lane, that's what we call it. Grew up here. This was the homestead for many years. Me and my brother and 6 sisters. As I look back on it, I often wonder, how did we make it? It was small, it was tight, it was crowded, but we never did consider that. We just did what we had to do. Very modest upbringing. Going to church like all my life, you know, there was just, it was not an option.
Getting ready to go to church, you didn't have a choice. You went because Mama said to go.
Going to church, well, it just wasn't a Sunday occasion for us. It was more like a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Friday, every Sunday, and then some Saturdays. From the age of, I want to think that Robert was either 2 or 5. The late Reverend J.M. Bolden became our pastor.
When it came to the spiritual side of my life, I would say that Pastor Bolden, we called him Dad Bolden, played a 110% part in shaping me and molding me, and everything that I learned about Christ and learned about the church and learned about dealing with people and learned about how to pastor people, I learned it from him. He was a mentor plus, and I would pray, you know, that one day I would just come to be half of the man he was. He was a gospel giant. He's God and he changes not. He is the God of mercy. And if you want mercy from God, all you need to do is say, Lord, have mercy on me. If you need mercy, you can go to God and just say, Father, I stretch my hand to thee. No other help I know. If thou would draw thy help from me, where can I go? I ain't ready to preach yet.
'Cause you're the only power that can save this world today.
At the time, growing up, I didn't really, wasn't really aware if that would be my calling. In fact, I really had other things in mind that I felt like I wanted to do. I loved the preaching, I loved supporting it, but I just felt like it was such an awesome responsibility and a very serious calling. And so for a long time, I wrestled there was just apprehension. I just felt like it's great, but it's for somebody else.
When he was first called to the ministry, it was kind of difficult for him to accept that calling, because I know sometimes at that point you may feel really inadequate and not really sure about your calling.
I knew that it would be a position that calls for great sacrifice. A lot of times it would take you away from your family, that there would be calls that you would have to answer, that you would be gone, and I just knew there was a lot of sacrifice and responsibility that went along with the job, that the pastoring is not a 9 to 5. You know, you're always on duty. It's almost like being a doctor. Even when you are vacating, you know, your telephone is ringing and people are in need of prayer and people need you to come and people need counsel. And because I knew of the great responsibility that went with it, I just felt like it was something that I didn't want to do. But the Lord spoke to me, and it was back in March 16, 1988. And it spoke to me, and as plain as it could be, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain. So it was really a calling of God that was placed on my life, that when he spoke and I heard him and I knew that it was God, I had to surrender and do what he told me to do. And again, that was in March 16, 1988, and I'll never forget it. It's just like having another birthday.
Did you have any idea that he would go into the ministry, or were there any
No,
early inklings?
I had no idea, no clue whatsoever.
It was not my plan. It was not her plan. When we married, there was no idea that I would be a pastor and she would be a first lady.
This was all new to me. Even today, I'm not used to it. Like them calling me first lady like that, I'm not used to that yet.
Man, we're grateful and thankful for the love of God, and what a blessing.
It's been a quiet role, some may say, but really just being the behind the scenes backbone.
Very, very loving, very caring, just like him. If there's anything that you need, they just have a big, big, big heart. Pastor Collier has been the pastor for 30 years, but First Lady has also been the First Lady for 30 years, you know, so she teaches me through just her actions on how to support not only your pastor, but your husband. And so that's something that's super important to me, is to watch her, you know, to have someone there that I can mimic after, someone's shoes that I can step in.
She's a quiet storm, all wrapped in one, but don't let the quietness fool you. She'll get you too, definitely.
I was working at the time, I can't even remember the year, it may have been 1974, working in Montgomery Wards in Parkdale Mall. And that was a lady that came from Sour Lake. And we hired her on to job, hired her to work with us, and come to find out that she had a huge family over here in Sour Lake. And during the course of time, she'd had pictures and different things of all of her kids. You know, she was proud of her family, and got a chance to meet the daughter. And just seen her, and just, I don't know about love at first sight, but it was just something about her that after I seen her that day, I wanted to see her again.
They had a restaurant called, I think it was Watts Cafeteria, and that was our first date. We went out, ate. I was shy. I couldn't eat my food, but it's the way he carried himself. And he's not one of these that, you know, kind of force himself on you. And that was kind of drew me toward him.
In 1983, we got married. And the Lord has blessed us. We've 34 years of marriage, 42 years of just being acquainted, 2 sons and 2 daughters now. and 2 grandkids with another one on the way. It's been a blessing all around.
He's always doing things for me, even when I'm even unexpectedly stuff like coming home from work, big thing of flowers on the table. He's always doing stuff like that. It's been great. We have our ups and downs, but all in all, it's been great.
And she has just been awesome to me, and the marriage has been a plus, a compliment to what I'm striving to be. It's been a great blessing having her as the wife and the mother of my children and the grandmother of our grandchildren. She has been an awesome first lady and a support to me and a compliment to me.
I just called to say I love you, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
I want to speak to that person today that feel like you're at the very end. You done took all you can take. You done all you can do. And the devil done told you it ain't going to get better, it's going to get worse. And I'm here to tell you today the devil is a lie.
When I look at him now, it's kind of hard to believe that that's the same once skinny kid that I grew up with, who has really grown into a mighty man of God.
First of all, when you do wrong, there is a consequence. Y'all gonna talk to me?
He's a server, like he likes to serve people. And so to see him from, going from a house full of women cackling and laughing, it could be his sisters and his wife over, to this massive force to be reckoned with on the pulpit.
How many of y'all got an enemy like I do? I got a whole bunch of them. If I wasn't doing nothing, they wouldn't be saying nothing. Y'all are helping me. Don't fall all to pieces because somebody talking.
I want to say preaching is his passion. Living for God is his passion, so that's why that's amplified to me.
Whatever you're going through, whatever you're dealing with, understand that God says, I have something better for you.
You get to church and it's like, woo, yeah.
He was mentored by our former pastor, the late Reverend J.M. Bolden, whom he also served as an armor bearer and caretaker. So he spent a lot of time with him, so a lot of his learning he received from him.
He would stay with him, and then, he's even told of several stories about how when it would be like late at night, time to go to bed, and Pastor Bolden would be just talking to him, putting the word in him.
He had so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and he took up so much time with me. I became like his personal caretaker during his latter years, where he and I even shared a trailer home together. When he would come to the city of Beaumont, it would just be me and him. I cooked for him. I took him all over the country, and I had so much time with him, not knowing that he was shaping and molding me. And I'm grateful that the Lord allowed me to have those years that I had with him, because it helped me to be the man that I'm trying to be today. And God is saying, I'll give you a new heart. If you want to receive the better, you need to tell the Lord, like David said, create in me a clean heart. I've tried very much to emulate his teaching. I don't think I'm nowhere close to being the type of teacher that he was, but a lot of what I learned and the style of it, I learned it from him.
Between the two, they had their own style. Pastor Bolden, in his day, he had his style. Pastor Collier, today, now, he have his own style.
We get out a lot earlier. That's a big difference.
It really draws you in. You can picture yourself at that moment, at that time. You can picture those feelings. You can actually feel those feelings of what he's preaching about. And like I said, it makes it very relatable that, you know, a kid that's 5 years old, 6 years old, they can feel what he's preaching about, and they might not understand exactly what he's saying, but they can really feel it.
When you seem like all hope is gone, you need to know where to look.
He lives what he preaches. He's as advertised. He's not one thing in church, then when you get home, he's something else. The things he talks about, the things he tells the congregation to do, he does those things. So he's a great example.
But every day that we get up, we just want to say, God, I thank you for blessing me. Come on, God. I thank you for blessing me. If you really believe that, put your hands together. When you are a man of God, everybody watches. And, you know, there are people that want you to slip up and mess up. And I never really worried about that. I just really believe that with the help of God, that if I preach it, I'm going to live it. So I think it's very important that if you're going to preach it, you really should live what you preach.
Do you want to be a worker for the Lord?
How long do you think your dad will preach? I mean, it's 35 years. How long do you think you got in him?
That's a good question. I'm going to say probably give him another 15, 20 years, then my brother's going to take over the torch.
I mean, me personally, I would say another 15, 20 years. That's what I would like.
I don't think it really stops. I think there's no end. You know, there's no end to spreading the good news.
Till it's over with. I can see that. I can see him maybe literally being on his dying bed, still doing God's work.
To be honest, I really love doing what I do, because preaching and pastoring is not entertaining. It's really just trying to help people to better themselves. And so it blesses me to know that my calling, my assignment is to help men to be better. So I actually enjoy it. I love it.
I'm speaking for myself now. Say I got to be a worker for